over, and I looked into this beef. I was really trying to figure out the Yo Gotti Young Dolph beef. Supposedly.
Right.
Some people say it was over a girl. Some people say Gotti wanted to sign Dolph and Dolph didn't want to sign.
Right.
Some people say, well, both of them had crews that were into some street shit or whatever. All this sounds very unnecessary for it to turn to murder and life sentences.
They trying to kill Yo Gotti right now? That's not a random internet comment. That's something people close to the streets have been saying out loud. And when someone publicly tells a rap mogul to start saying his prayers, not because of street retaliation, but because of the feds, it stops sounding like gossip and starts sounding like a warning. Because right now, Yo Gotti has pressure coming from two directions at once. On one side, a city that's been at war for over a decade, a brother gunned down at a funeral repast, and street whispers that attempts on Gotti's own life have already been made. On the other side, trial testimony, alleged money trails, and industry voices comparing CMG to what happened in Atlanta with YSL. Street pressure on the left, federal pressure on the right, and Gotti sitting in the middle, moving quieter than he ever has. None of this started in 2024. It started with a deal that never happened. Back in 2012, Yo Gotti was already a certified name in Memphis. CMG was growing. Young Dolph was building serious momentum independently. That's when Gotti reportedly reached out with an offer: come under CMG, build together, keep it in the city. Dolph turned it down. And according to Dolph's own version of events, the way it was presented rubbed him wrong. He said Gotti spoke about his own artists in a way that felt dismissive, like Dolph was different, more special, didn't need the same support. To Dolph, that wasn't a compliment, that was politics. Disrespect dressed up as opportunity. He walked. Then came the personal layer. Dolph hinted publicly at tension involving Gotti's baby mama, never spelling it out fully, but making clear the energy had turned personal. The cover art for his diss record, Play Wit Yo Bitch, did the rest of the talking. And in 2016, Dolph dropped King of Memphis. That title wasn't subtle. Gotti had been calling himself exactly that for years. Once pride enters the picture in a city like Memphis, things don't stay business for long. The music turned into messages. The messages turned into shots. And in 2017, it escalated into something that shocked the whole country. While sitting in his SUV in Charlotte, North Carolina, over 100 shots were fired into young Dolph's vehicle. Footage went viral. Shell casings covered the street. Dolph walked away, the only reason being that the SUV was bulletproof. Memphis felt it immediately. CMG and Paper Route Empire weren't just on opposite sides of rap beef anymore. Artists were dropping warnings, not just tracks. Gotti's tour bus was reportedly shot at after a show. Security tightened on both sides. The city split, and the split ran deep. But what happened in November 2021 changed everything permanently. Young Dolph was shot and killed outside Makita's homemade butter cookies in Memphis. Broad daylight, cameras everywhere, no masks in early footage. A hometown hero, an independent success story who refused major label control and built his own empire, was gone in minutes. Memphis froze. And then it didn't, because almost immediately, retaliation energy started building. Names were thrown around before any courtrooms opened. Whether fair or not, Yo Gotti's name hovered in conversations, not because he was charged, but because the beef had been public for years and the city remembered everything. People started counting bodies. Reports and street whispers claimed dozens of incidents tied directly or indirectly to the fallout. CMG artists faced pressure. Black Youngsta faced scrutiny online for posts many felt disrespected Dolph's memory even after his death. The war hadn't ended with a funeral. It had escalated, and it would eventually reach Gotti's own front door. January 2024, Yo Gotti and his brother Big Jook attended a funeral service in Memphis for a family associate. Video surfaced showing them inside the church. Calm, respectful, nothing unusual on the surface. After the service, Big Jook went to a repast at a nearby restaurant on Winchester Road. Gotti did not. That decision may have changed everything. As Jook got into his vehicle outside the event center, shooters pulled up and opened fire. Fast, coordinated, targeted. Some reports claimed Gotti's mother was in the vehicle and survived. Big Jook, Anthony Mims, Gotti's brother, and a powerful CMG figure, was rushed to a hospital. He didn't make it. Surveillance footage reportedly showed a white SUV with no license plates accelerating away. This wasn't random, this was calculated, and people understood the message immediately because Big Jook hadn't been quiet after Dolph's death. He had posted, he had taunted. He had appeared in videos many felt were aimed at Dolph's memory. When he was killed at a funeral repast, the city didn't see coincidence. They saw retaliation, and once Gotti's own brother fell, the question shifted. If they could reach Jook at a church repast with no warning, who's next? After Big Jook's death, a former celebrity bodyguard known as Big Homie CC went on record saying the streets are actively trying to reach Yo Gotti. According to him, attempts had already been made. He claimed Gotti had been moving differently, staying low, limiting appearances, spending more time with family, avoiding Memphis more than before. Those claims lined up with what fans were already noticing. Gotti's presence in Memphis had visibly decreased. CMG operations were shifting more toward Dallas. He signed a rising Dallas artist. Business looked more calculated, movements more strategic. All of his vehicles, according to multiple reports, are now fully reinforced. Not standard security packages, real protection. And Black Youngsta, one of CMG's most vocal figures throughout the Dolph beef, quietly removed CMG from his Instagram bio in 2025. Started calling himself independent, posted cryptic messages about fake big homies, and people misleading the youth. No names, but in situations this loaded, people read between every line. Distance, whether from Memphis or from CMG itself, can be protection. But distance doesn't erase history. And it doesn't stop what's already in motion, especially when the threat isn't only coming from the streets. That's where Wack 100 entered the conversation. During a public discussion, he didn't soften it. He said Yo Gotti might want to say his prayers. And the reason he gave wasn't retaliation, it was the feds. He compared CMG's situation to what happened with YSL in Atlanta, a music label that prosecutors rebranded in court as a criminal enterprise. When that label gets attached, everything changes. Lyrics become evidence. Old associations become alleged conspiracies. Incidents that seemed unrelated get stitched into one federal narrative. That comparison alone made people pause. Then came the courtroom testimony that gave it weight. Cornelius Smith, one of the men convicted in Young Dolph's murder, took the stand and testified under oath that Big Jook allegedly placed a $100,000 bounty on Dolph's head. Smith claimed he expected $40,000 for his role and received only a fraction before his arrest. He also suggested that money connected to CMG allegedly helped secure legal representation after the arrests. He did not directly name Yo Gotti in those claims, but the implication traveled fast. Allegations in a courtroom are not convictions. Testimony from a convicted man seeking consideration carries its own credibility problems. None of this proves guilt. Defense teams exist for exactly this reason. But perception doesn't wait for verdicts. For Dolph's supporters, the testimony felt like confirmation of what they had believed for years. For Gotti's supporters, it looked like a desperate man throwing out names to reduce his own sentence. For federal investigators, if they're watching, it looked like a thread worth pulling. And federal cases don't rush. They build quietly. They wait until the structure is solid. By the time charges are announced, years of work are already behind them. That's what makes the combination of street pressure and potential federal interest so heavy right now. One side moves fast, white SUV, no plates, coordinated hits at funeral repasses. The other side moves slow, wiretaps, financial records, witness cooperation, years of patience. Yo Gotti built CMG from the ground up in Memphis. He survived multiple eras of street politics, a rivalry that defined a generation, and the kind of public beef that ends most people before it ends their careers. He signed artists others overlooked and created a label that became a city institution. But this moment is different from anything he's navigated before. His rival is gone. His brother is gone. Trial testimony has his label's name attached to allegations of organized violence, and the streets believe attempts on his life have already happened. Survival mode looks like bulletproof cars, fewer appearances, and business quietly relocating. Whether that's enough, whether the pressure comes from a street corner first or a federal indictment, Memphis is still watching. Street pressure on one side, federal pressure on the other. And nobody knows yet which one arrives first.